As some of you are aware, I have 2 islands that I play at all times in Animal Crossing New Horizons. I have my long-term island Kokomo, which is on my Switch, and then every few months I start and complete a new island on my husband's Switch. My long-term island Kokomo is turning 2 next week, and with that milestone coming up, I've started thinking about what I've learned since I first initially started that island in 2021, and what I regret or dislike about it now. Starting with number 1, the name of the island. I originally called my island Kokomo, as the plan at the time was to make a tropical island. Why I started a tropical island in the middle of the winter, I will never know, but within a month I was already not sticking to the theme I had decided on. The island very quickly became a space just to do what I wanted with island design, not sticking to a particular theme and just experimenting with different designing, and also just having fun with the villages on the island. This was going great mostly, as I was really enjoying the new island, but I was stuck with a name that didn't fit this type of gameplay at all, not for me anyway. Kokomo is not a name that I'm attached to particularly, or something that I'd use for anything but a tropical island, and if I could go back in time 2 years, I would beg my 2021 self to give it a name that I liked more. I do understand why we can't change the island names in the game, but I do wish there was a one-time option to pay like a stack of bells or Nook Miles and just ask Tom to change the name just once. Being able to do it once would be so great. Regret number 2 is the peninsula. Back in 2021, I never even considered re-rolling for new maps, or even knew that this was a thing that people did. I'd seen a video in the early days of Animal Crossing New Horizons in 2020 that stated that there were far less map variations than there actually are. Now disclaimer, this is not the creators' fault. We all believed things that weren't true when the game first released back in 2020. I know there are things that I still am learning now that I was wrong about back then. And because I didn't think that there were that many types of island maps, I didn't even consider re-rolling. So I took a map on the first roll, which is mostly still pretty close to something I would actually like in 2023. It has good positioning with resident services in the airport, there are good river mouth placements and nice rocks on the beaches, but it has one of the worst, if not worst, peninsula in the entire game. Now disclaimer, this is just my opinion about the peninsulas, as I'm not a fan of the little ones really, but if you like them that's great. But back in 2021 I didn't even know there were different shapes, so I didn't even think to look at it when I was deciding on an island layout. In the time since then, I've come to really love the huge peninsulas and have made so many fun little builds on my islands with these large peninsulas. It's now something I always look out for when choosing a map layout, as it's one of the few things you can't change when terraforming. Overall, I do still love the general layout of the map of Kokomo, but how I wish I could just terraform a bigger peninsula there. Regret number 3, why I started the island in the first place and why that's a problem now, 2 years later. Now, to explain this one, I need to go back a few years, but this context is needed for it to all make sense. Back when Animal Crossing New Horizons first released, I was obsessed with the game. Playing daily, it got me through those early days of lockdown and brought me joy when things in the world were doing anything but. However, when things in New Zealand started opening up again in mid-2020, I had gone so intensely in those first months with Animal Crossing New Horizons that I found myself focused on other things, and I was getting busy with running my business again and playing the game less. Being in the southern hemisphere, the snow in the game arrived in June, and I think we all know how the snow in the game and I don't have a great relationship. It's just so unchanging for so long, with very few new bugs and fish compared to the other seasons, that it all just seems to dampen any design inspiration I might have for an island, and stops me wanting to actually spend time playing the game. By August 2020, I had nearly completely stopped playing Animal Crossing New Horizons, and a few months later I sold my Switch Lite and game. But by January 2021, I was starting to miss my Switch, and I was missing the game again. My husband, who is amazing, deleted his island, and he let me start a new island on his Switch. I was having so much fun with this island, and I was playing daily again and just really falling in love with the game all over. But I think we all know what happened next. Winter arrived in June, and with it came the in-game snow. I was doing fine at first with the snow, but I did find myself starting to get bored and uninspired again. So I made this huge plan to flatten my island, and I planned a completely new island layout with a huge lake in the middle. It took me weeks to flatten the island and make the lake. I started making cliffs and planning out the rest of the island, but because the snow kept falling and I had overcommitted by flattening an entire island for the first time, I eventually lost inspiration and I stopped playing again. This time it was only for a short time, because that's when I had the inspiration for Kokomo, my tropical island. Maybe that's why I wanted to do the tropical island in the middle of the winter, because I was just looking forward to being out of the snow. Maybe that's it. Now, the reason I share this story is because you can probably see a cycle happening. I love Animal Crossing New Horizons, but I absolutely despise the winter in-game. And it makes me do risky things like sell my Switch or flatten and delete my island on a whim. And so that's why regret number 3 is regretting starting the island in the first place. And also what's happening going forward. I have something to admit. I'm back at that point again. It's the middle of winter here, and once again I've flattened Kokomo and I had huge plans, and once again I overcommitted and I'm starting to struggle to actually start with the redesigning. I should also add that I haven't actually been playing on Kokomo much this year. I've been doing other things on other islands if I've been playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. And I think that lack of desire to play on this island this year has also contributed to my sudden flattening of the island. And while this video is technically about the regrets with the island, it's about where I'm at now and what I want to do going forward. I've been reflecting more and more about this, and now I'm at a crossroads with something. I would love to hear from you, your thoughts on what I say next. So please do let me know in the comments. With Kokomo turning 2, so much has happened on the island. It's where I made my first videos for this channel, which somehow were getting over 100,000 views at the time. If only I was getting that now. One day it'll happen again. It's also an island where, for the first time ever, I'm actually almost finished completing the museum. I've had stream parties on Kokomo and so many more fun times. I'm really so attached to it. And yet, I don't know what to do. I'm starting to wonder, do I follow my usual risky Kim bored in winter decision and delete the island? I have plenty of ideas. One that we were talking about on stream recently was that we could make an island called Cheesebags, or Cheesebags Clubhouse, or something that we can fit into the 10 characters or whatever limit it is. And it could be a social island for viewers. And it sounds so fun that I really am tempted. I am quite busy with quite a few other games at the moment though, including reviewing them for this channel. So while I want to do this and start a new island, is stepping back a bit the right decision? Is my attachment to this island silly? Or for memory's sake do I keep Kokomo, just in case deleting this island becomes regret number 4? What would you do? Do let me know in the comments, and like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet. And with your help I might actually finally be able to make this decision, and I'll have an update video hopefully for you soon. It all depends if I can make this decision. Stay fresh, cheese bags. Bye.